Our overview of federal laws and regulations. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and then the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which you may know as FERPA. First of all, the Individuals with Disabilities Improvement Act, which is IDEA, it's in place to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them something called a free, appropriate public education. When this law went into place in the 70s, students with disabilities did not have access to a free, appropriate public education. So that's the purpose of putting this law in place. It emphasizes special education and related services that are designed to meet unique needs of learners and prepare them for education, employment, as well as independent living post high school. This IDEA ensures that the rights of children with disabilities and the parents of those children are protected. So there are certain rights that they are afforded. Students who are eligible as a student with a disability under IDEA have an individualized education plan that outlines student-specific areas of need, goals for supporting that need, as well as accommodations and modifications to support the student in the classroom. IEPs are written individually and uniquely to meet the needs of each of those students based on what disabilities they may have. Section 504, first of all, this is a broad civil rights law. So what its intent is to also provide a free, appropriate public education, but it's to give equal access to life events. And in terms of education, that would be a life event of learning. So we want to ensure equal access to the availability of an education to students who have a disability. It prohibits discrimination based on disability in public schools that are federally funded. Under Section 504, FAPE, which is the Free Appropriate Public Education, it consists of provisions of regular or special education, related services and aids that are designed to, again, meet those students' individual needs and equally allow them access to education. And finally, we have FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Generally, what this is saying is that parents and students have a right to privacy when it comes to their information. FERPA gives parents certain rights, and when children turn 18, those rights transfer to them. Generally, schools must have written permission before they're able to release information from a student's educational record. Except for in situations such as, a child moves and a school requests records, legal situations and such, there are a few exceptions to that rule. But in general, we do not provide information with people who do not have an educational need to know without consent. Schools may disclose without consent something called directory information. And directory information includes information such as the student's name, address, telephone number, date and place of birth, awards, and attendance. But when school years start, we share that information with parents, and parents have the opportunity to opt out of us sending out that information. So those are the three laws that I wanted to share with you today that really oversee the process for us in public schools. I'm probably preaching to the choir. You guys know about these things, but I feel it's important to set a foundation and give you that information before we really move forward. So like I said, I am a special education director, special services director for Davidson Academy, and I've worked in all sorts of K-12 public education schools. Davidson Academy is a school for profoundly gifted students. And so it's designed for those students, and sometimes that also includes students who have a disability. And so we support those students individually. We support those individual learning needs through IEPs or Section 504s. So students who are profoundly gifted can also be students with disabilities, in other words. So today the focus of this presentation is really generally special education. We're also going to just spend a minute and talk about those students who are twice exceptional. So those are students who are gifted and may also have a disability. Frequently, and something that we see quite often, is that a student who is profoundly gifted that gift and that high intelligence may mask the fact that the student has a disability. We often hear folks say, parents and teachers and other people, he's so smart. I don't know why he can't do it. He just doesn't have the motivation. Or I wish we could get him to get organized, or things like that. And that can really lead to difficulties for our students who are twice exceptional, because yes, while they are brilliant and they are smart, they still have areas of need that we need to help them address, so they can be successful in our environment. They may have difficulty with the rigor of the courses, the volume, the demands. They may seem unmotivated or lazy. They're not. And so we want to help support those students and recognize that these are true situations, and when we see it as an issue, that we do something to intervene and help. All right, there are several benefits to providing students with disabilities an education online. First of all, it's flexible. Traditional brick and mortar schools, they follow a rigid schedule of daily lessons and classes. And online settings, students can have the flexibility to determine how much time is necessary to spend on lessons. At Davidson, our students have a set schedule of classes. So they do have to attend classes at a certain time, but then they still have the flexibility to determine within their schedule when and those assignments will be completed and activities will be done. It's convenient. So online learning can take place anywhere that there is internet. And so it eliminates that worry for families that may be participating in outside of school activities and that aren't conducive to traditional brick and mortar settings. It eliminates the need to travel to and from. It takes out that time. Also, one of the big things that we see is that in typical traditional brick and mortar settings, there's some social pressures, and many of our kids struggle with those. And so in the online setting, social pressures are removed or at least alleviated a lot. Students can avoid unfavorable social situations that take place. Many struggle with interactions, so the online environment allows for them to participate socially in a safer environment. While online takes away the pressure, we still want them to be social, and we want to teach them how to be social, and we want to provide those opportunities. So we still encourage that in a safe manner. For example, at Davidson, they think outside of the box in helping students participate in social interactions. So we have clubs and dances and all of those things. And yes, I said dances. So Davidson hosted an online dance in the spring virtually, and it was the bomb. It was it was so much fun. The turnout was huge, and the kids want more. So yes, the social pressures are removed, but we create a safe situation for them to learn and explore in. Also, a benefit to the online setting is it reduces distractions. So traditional classrooms can often be overstimulating, both visually and auditorially. The online setting allows for those distractions to be reduced tremendously. So that leads to more focus and attention to tasks. Also, in my experience over the years, it allows for more access to general education classes. The time in structured class is often not as long as that in a traditional school setting. So personally, I'm able to work with students in and out of their general ed classes. I never remove them from that setting. There are often enough hours in the day that I'm able to give them more than what they would normally get in a brick and mortar setting. I feel that this is the least restrictive environment for them. It's individualized to meet their needs, and we can adjust as we need. We can work directly with our students to meet their needs and their learning strengths and weaknesses.